So this video is going to be a little bit different to our usual hiking videos, but after finishing the Te Araroa in Bluff and leaving our van in Wellington, we thought it'd be fun to see whether we could make our way back to Wellington hitchhiking for the same price as a flight, which on the day that we set off hitchhiking, the cost of 2 one-way flights to Wellington would have been $416. So we did it for the cost of one flight instead at $208. So that was our budget. Okay, so as many of you already know, we did already get a ride from Bluff to Invercargill for dinner and drinks after the trail, of course. And the lovely man that gave us that ride was Kevin, a retired truck driver who lived in Invercargill. From there, we spent a couple of nights with Paul's friend, bought some nuts for $8.50, a bag of crisps for $1.50, and we also bagged ourselves a free hummus. Then we hit the road. And not even 2 minutes later, we were picked up by an IT worker from India who was on his way to work and able to drop us off in Edendale. Saying goodbye for our first hitch. Successful?
Job done.
2-minute wait time. Currently walking to a slightly better hitching spot. We then met Phoebe, a medical counsellor from New Zealand, who was also on our way to work, and dropped us off in Gore. So far, so good. So since leaving Invercargill this morning, we've had 2 successful hitches, and I made it to Gore, where there's a big brown trout behind us. So far each hitch has been within like a couple of minutes, which is great. But now we're in Gore, I think we're going to grab some breakfast, have a quick toilet break, and then go from there. I also want to add that the breakfast we had in Gore ended up consisting of some of the nuts that we bought earlier, a few crisps and some water. That was it. That was breakfast. It wasn't long before we got another hitch off Aria, a Filipino dairy farmer, who, believe it or not, was actually on his way to a family birthday party in Wellington. But fortunately for this video, and not to make this challenge easy, he was spending the night with a friend in Oamaru. So that's where we ended up, a whole 3.5 hours away from Gore, which is where we last were. Thank you, Aria, for the bloody amazing hitch. Oh, thank you. And there he goes. On the falafel kebabs for lunch. Pretty hungry. We were starving since not having much for breakfast, so we splurged $27 on 2 falafel kebabs, and it was epic. Our next ride was the first one that we had to wait a little longer for, around 30 minutes, and the family that picked us up actually circled back round to get us, which was so lovely. Philip, Helen and Campbell had just finished the Alps to Ocean cycle trail and were heading to Christchurch to drop their son Campbell at uni and meet up with a friend who was kind enough to let us camp in their back garden. What a day. Our bed for the night. And then we got hell pizza, so we were pretty stoked on that too. So it's day 2 of our hitchhiking. Last night ended up being super great. We got a hitch from Oamaru all the way up to Christchurch, and then the family ended up letting us stay in a friend's garden. So we've had it pretty good so far. And we're right near all the shops and the highway, so we're gonna get some breakfast and then continue up to Picton. First stop is Countdown, pick up a little bit of breakfast. Kicking the day off by going 10 minutes the wrong way. Saw the sign down there and we didn't think it was correct, so now walking back. So we thought with it raining that would help us get a ride, but the first hitch of the day we waited well over an hour for. We were absolutely soaked and freezing, which I'm guessing is why I didn't really film. But anyway, we eventually managed to get a ride to Christchurch Airport, which was about a 5 to 10 minute drive. Either way, we were still super grateful to get out of the rain to a slightly better spot, where we were picked up by Georgina, who was out prepping for her daughter's birthday party. Let's go again! So I forgot to vlog it earlier because we were just so cold after standing in the rain for an hour. But a guy that passed us ended up coming back, a Malaysian guy, and he dropped us just at the airport, which is then when the lady picked us up and brought us to this road here. So we're gradually edging our way out of Christchurch, but we've still got a decent way to go. We're just kind of wanting to get out of the city a bit, but the rain stopped, so that's good news.
After another 40 minutes of attempting to hitch, thankfully in the sunshine, we managed to get a ride with a couple taking their dog to hopefully breed, all the way in Kaikoura, which was a solid 2 hours closer to Picton. At this rate, we were hoping to get the ferry that night.
So we've made it to the very sunny Kaikoura, and now it's only 130 k's to Picton, so let's do it.
After a short walk through Kaikoura and out of the town a little, we were picked up by Miles, also known as Kilometres. His joke, not ours. Who was probably one of the kindest people we've met, and happened to be on his way to Blenheim, but drove us to Picton anyway, which was so kind. As ex-Navy and a previous tour bus driver, not only did he give us a ride, he also took us to see the seals at Ohow Point. What a sweetheart.
Thank you for that was really cool.
Then we arrived in Picton, and apart from some crisps from yesterday, we had barely eaten since our OSM boys that morning. So finding food was the first job. After booking the ferry, that was pretty important.
So our ferry ended up only costing $97.20, which leaves us with more extra cash, about $10.
It was on Te Araroa that we both got our first ever hitchhike, and meeting new people in that way, having this small insight into their lives, and the fact that so many people are more than happy to pick up a stranger was just incredible, especially when we were through hiking. Through hikers smell pretty bad. But yeah, whilst we were sat here in Picton, we realised how grateful we were for all the people we'd met that were kind enough to pick us up and get us from Bluff to Picton within 2 days, and for cheaper than a single one-way flight.
We are arriving at Blue Ridge, our final form of transport into Wellington.
What an experience, and such an awesome way to travel.